So what's behind the silent press conference? Is this another attempt to unsettle Tyson Fury? Well, that hasn't worked since 2018, and it's nearly 2022. That hasn't worked as yet. The only thing he can do is work hard at his craft and hope that's enough by fight time. That's all he can do. There's only so much intimidation you can try and strike in somebody's heart. If they're not buying it, then you can't sell it. Now it comes down to your skills. You can't really control the intimidation tactics. You can't control that. It either works or it doesn't. You can't control how much work you put into your craft. You have more control over that. Perhaps by staying silent, he wouldn't have to back up all the allegations he made against Fury. Perhaps from the powers above Wilder, they told him don't say anything because we managed to get the arbitration, we managed to get the fight. If he says anything that might be deemed libelous, they might have grounds for either legal action or walk away from the fight. So maybe he's being gagged. I don't know. I don't know how real the pantomime is between these two guys. I don't know how real it is. It seems pretty obvious that Bob Arum could have terminated the contract between the two in December. And I don't work in law, but I'm a citizen of the world. So from a position of lay, I do question, isn't there enough there of what Wilder said alone for Team Fury to build a case of defamation? But they haven't spoke about that once.
He got a rap sheet of cheating. He got a rap sheet of abusing drugs.
Wilder further said that Fury had cheated in his title fight against Vladimir Klitschko too. However, he didn't get into the finer details of this claim. He added, the Gypsies believe if they have an opportunity to cheat and they don't cheat, they consider you to be a sucker. We know time and time again, you can go through the history and the rhapsody of cheating and consistently, even with the Klitschko fight, cheating the chief and just making no better. So he definitely wasn't a better man. And that fight, and it's sad that, I am so great in the sport that they had to cheat me. I don't know if whoever wrote the article butchered what he said or if Deontay's English was just badly broken on that day. I don't know. At the time, Wilder said that if the Gypsies don't cheat, they're considered suckers. Fury said, I'm never going to fight him again, is what he said. Because when you hear Tyson and his dad talk, they're the most proud Gypsies who ever existed. How comes when the arbitration was ruled in Wilder's favour, there wasn't no protest from Fury saying, nah, look what you said about my people? And it makes you wonder if all this Gypsy pride shit is just fake, because he lives in a house. Travellers don't live in houses. And for those who have got any stereotypes on Gypsies and Travellers, a lot of them could afford to live in houses. They choose not to. Now, I've seen television programs where them caravans are kitted out beautifully. Or is all this staged between him and Wilder? All what they're saying and the way they're reacting to each other, is it all staged to make this fight bigger than the other two were? Are you telling me egg weights, Glovegate, PD allegations, the contract ran out in October, then defaming the man's heritage, and the arbitrator still ruled in Wilder's favour without no protest from Team Fury? They had no grounds at all to disagree with the verdict. In fact, there was no protest. What they did have was a date and venue ready for the Wilder fight before any of us could even process the verdict. If they prepared for arbitration, that means they wanted to get out of the fight, the Wilder fight. They wanted to get out of it. They had no contingency to contest the decision going against them, and they folded straight away. So why did you go into this arbitration? Because it seems obvious they didn't want to get out of the fight. They could have terminated any obligation to the fight in December. That's obvious. And he acknowledged we might just have to pay damages. Then after the ruling, they said, no, we're not going to pay him. We're going to fight him. Wilder fans swearing that Wilder's a different type of animal. He doesn't want the step-aside money. No, he knows he's not going to get the step-aside money. Anyone who's going to get 20 million, 10, 15 million to step aside, take a lesser opponent to shed off some ring rust and then go for that fight is a mug. Of course he would have took it. They didn't even attempt to negotiate with Wilder. They didn't even attempt. They didn't want out of the fight. I just gave you a couple of examples how they could have got out of the arbitration, and they took neither option. You see, the third fight was a hard sell. They were finding that out from July, right? It was a hard sell. This guy was beaten conclusively. They needed an angle to try and sell it. And that angle was Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua. You see, the arbitration was set up to go one way. It was contrived. Just like the DAZN meeting was set up for them to reject it. And once again, who's the common denominator? Anthony Joshua. And I can't listen to anybody who says it's not clout chasing propaganda to sell their fights. They've been doing these leverage tactics since 2018. And they still can't sell more than Joshua. Neither one of them since 2018. And they're going into their third fight. Fury's now saying undisputed doesn't matter to him. Well, he himself acknowledged that the Anthony Joshua fight is the biggest British fight of all time. Well, why does he think it was the biggest British fight of all time? It was because it was going to be for undisputed. But now it doesn't matter because him and Wilder, their trilogy has been fought over one belt. So all of a sudden it doesn't matter. And here's the thing. Anyone with any sense doesn't believe that you two fighting each other constantly, freezing out AJ, Dillian, Usyk, and anyone else, no one believes you're the best two heavyweights. And there's a reason why the Saudis are not paying you millions and millions and millions to go over there and fight. I think the saddest thing of it all, unless you're a certain section of the Wilder fan base who said that AJ and Fury wasn't going to happen, they did say that Wilder and Fury was going to happen. A section of them did say it. Unless you're in that group there, and I hear you laughing and cheesing that Eddie Hearn got played, well, you're a wannabe history revisionist, acting like you knew this was going to happen. You was looking forward to Undisputed as well. So if Eddie got played and got egg on his face, so have you. And look, here's what's sad about that, is we have a bunch of men who are more worried about laughing at people. And look, he's got egg on his face. Look, Eddie couldn't pull it off. Ain't it funny? Because like Eddie said, I don't care about getting egg on my face. I'm trying to get a fight done. And this is why the world is in the situation it is now. We have too many men trying to look cool and win style points rather than trying to achieve anything with substance. Eddie got the fight over the line. Say what you want. One party rejected it. Fuck the arbitration result. One party rejected it. Just like Wilder rejected the DAZN deal. DAZN done their job. Eddie stepped aside and allowed the process to go forward because Shelley and Wilder were saying, we ain't fucking with Eddie no more. So he stepped aside and we still didn't get the fight. So maybe you could say DAZN got egg in their face too. Showtime won. None of that has any substance. The only thing that had any substance in my view was the people trying to make Undisputed. And that's why boxing's going nowhere. Because there's too many males and no real men who have anything to say on the sport. You got played. You got egg in your face, Eddie. So what does that mean exactly? That he's going to hide behind his couch in his house and never come out again? This is pathetic. You sound pathetic. Egg on his face. These are school kid debates. I've got egg on my face. So the people who promised you Undisputed but couldn't deliver and said that arbitration won't be a problem, the boxer who just folded and didn't try and fight for us, 75 million guarantee, which he's not going to get for the Wilder fight, he ain't got egg on his face. He's cool. Bob Arum is cool. They're the cool promoters. The one with the negative energy, they're cool. But the guy who tried to make the fight, oh, he's pussy. Tyson Fury was saying that Eddie Hearn had egg on his face. But it's Fury who's had to let go of a $75 million guarantee. So why has Eddie got egg on his face and you ain't got egg on his face? Why? Because Eddie's disappointed that we're not having this Undisputed fight and you're not? That means he's got egg on his face? The only way Tyson Fury can't have egg on his face and claim that Eddie does is if he knew what was going to happen. You wouldn't say something like that. If you just lost $75 million, how much are you going to get for fighting Wilder? The only reason you would be saying this is if you knew how this arbitration was going to pan out. You see, I've been through some shit since my early teens in my life. And I never relied on my peers when I was young to validate who I was. I never did. And I don't do it now. And I never will do. So, I'm not in the too cool for school crew who pretend nothing bothers them. No, it bothers me. I've got egg on my face. I wanted to see Undisputed, and I'm telling you how I feel about it. I'm frustrated as a boxing fan, and I'm venting. Yeah? Just like Eddie said, I don't care about egg on my face. I was trying to put a fight on. Well, I don't care about it either. You see, Eddie wears his heart on his sleeve. The other guys, we don't really care if the fight happens or not. And that's where we are right now. If you have a very apathetic attitude to things, no passion, no emotion, a lot of males seem to gravitate to that and think these are alpha males. The guy who told you, look, I'm working hard to do this. I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve. I want the fight. These guys are the idiots these days. You're the idiot if you do that now. Everything is twisted backwards. Bob Arum is bad for boxing. Frank Warren is bad for boxing. That's the truth. Al Heyman is bad for boxing. All three of them have stopped Undisputed for the last 2 to 3 years. They're bad for boxing. I've seen this in my personal life. While somebody is struggling and trying really hard to do something, and there's a few bumps in the road, and there's people around there laughing, but you ask them what they're doing with their life. They're too scared to try anything out of the ordinary, in case people start laughing at them. Comfortable in their mediocrity, looking to laugh at people and tell people they got egg on their face, while you're too shook because of the opinions of other people to do anything. Unless Bob Arum was lying, he said they haven't made a profit from off Tyson Fury yet since signing it. So I tell you what, Frank Warren, who was 12.7 million in debt, according to Company's House, why don't you go to the Inland Revenue and whoever you owe money and tell them you ain't got no egg on your face? And let's see how that fucking goes down. And all you people who are, Wilder's racist and we're not. Listen, Tyson is more than likely collaborating these fake beefs, whether it's race, Glovegate, egg weights, with the PBC and Deontay Wilder. So you're more than likely being led into this race war. It's all orchestrated from what I'm seeing. This gypsy thing seems really integral to his life. That's what he's been telling us since he's been a pro. Even before the arbitration, when he replied to Wilder's allegation that gypsies are cheats, and he said, I'll never fight him again. A few months after, you never know, I'll have to fight Wilder again. Surely he can't have such little principle that he'd forget something like that in a matter of months or weeks. Bob Arum, he said, go fuck yourself to the fans who kept asking when the Fury AJ fight is going to happen. This is the accountability that they have to you as fans. But, none of that matters because Eddie's got egg in his face. Don't be over here and say, did you hear what Wilder said about white people and this and that? Because Tyson Fury is just as complicit in all of this as far as I'm concerned. Yeah? So don't even go there. And let's not even talk about the amount of EVL fanatics that support him, especially when AJ's name come up. Let's not even go there. These two sign up to fight and all that racial bullshit crops back up again. But without going into it, I have reason not to side with Team Wilder's fan base and Team Fury's fan base. And I'll leave it there. I could be wrong, but half the channels who are advocating this Deontay Wilder, the savior of the black nation campaign, I'm not feeling it. I'm not convinced. I don't believe it's genuine. I know a con game, especially when it comes to Pan-African politics. I know one when I see one or hear one. And that's what I'm seeing there. No disrespect, but that's how I see it. Jamel Charlo, let's talk about that briefly. He better think very carefully before he picks a side on whether race is relevant or not. He better think very carefully about his branding. Because it's not that simple to weave through all what's been said. I don't believe he meant race doesn't matter at all in society. I don't believe that because, for one, him and his brother are advocates for Black Lives Matter, so that would contradict that. I think what he's saying is that Wilder has no grounds to say white supremacy defeated him in February last year. You got to think about this, Jamel. We've had the likes of Michael Jackson and O.J. Simpson who have crossed over and made millions by diversifying their audience. They became household names, not just in the hood, but in many white homes in America. Mainstream. But when shit hit the fan, who did you see Michael Jackson with? Farrakhan, Nation of Islam. OJ was trying to get his black card reissued. That's what America's like. It always has been. Might be a grim outlook, but It's not so much you have to pick a side, Jamel, but your best bet is not to say nothing at all. Even though he was technically right in what he said. It wasn't white supremacy that beat Wilder. And anyone who believes that is exploiting the stance of a Pan-African to support this guy here. I can't roll with that. Now, it's admirable that it's important to Jamel to come off as all equality is everything. But the choir you're singing to don't always agree with that. A lot of them don't agree with that. And as Larry Holmes found out when he spoke out against Rocky Marciano, or as many of us find out when we speak out about Eastern European fighters, they're coming to get you. They're coming to get you. They're going to forget all what you said about race not being relevant between Fury and Wilder. They're going to forget that in a heartbeat. And they're going to throw you under the bus. Your best bet is not to say anything at all. I've noticed that certain demographics have tried to rally everybody together. So it's, let's all clown Deontay Wilder. I'm wary of doing that because these people use what you have to say to strengthen their agenda. And the truth is, I'm not big on Tyson Fury at all. He talks just as much rubbish as Deontay Wilder. The only difference is he's had the better of the fights. The person who is more successful at handling their business can get away with talking more shit. But Fury talks a whole load of crap. And if he does lose in the ring, he's going to get it. When you lose after doing all the talking and nonsense that he's been speaking, contradicting himself, not once or twice, but constantly, saying that Eddie was announcing the fight every week and influenced the arbitration, when it was him who straight after AJ beat Pulev said, "Oh, you see, Joshua didn't mention my name. He doesn't want to fight me." It was you who stoked up the fires for an AJ fight. And even before that, he was saying after he beats Wilder, and if AJ beats Pulev, that he's going to fight AJ for undisputed, and Daniel Kinahan, and hey, and all this shit here. It was him who stirred it up. Even Frank Warren was enthusiastic about the fight, saying, "Oh, I didn't think AJ would accept it, but he's accepted it, so we're going to fight." And then by January, Frank started going cold on the trail. And so did Bob. Bob started saying, "Oh, well, I don't think the fight's going to happen." But they was all on board, And then they tried to blame Wilder. I'm talking about the fans here. Tyson Fury fans tried to blame Wilder for calling the arbitration. Well, listen, Wilder's allowed to use the judicial system or arbitration or mediation just like any other American citizen. What are you blaming Wilder for? Who told you to go into the negotiation and promise everyone that arbitration won't be a problem? So don't even try that. So I'm not getting on that. Destroy Deontay Wilder to make Tyson Fury look like the bastion of common sense and decency. No way. Fuck that. But let me just say this. Wilder was talking about he's going to slap Jamel Charlo. Charlo didn't threaten no violence against this guy. He threatened to cripple Dominant Brazil, who looks black, maybe mixed race, but he's a black man. Threatened to cripple him in front of his son. He was talking about when Dylan was in America that he was hiding from him. And it wasn't until his friend pointed out that Dylan was around. He pretended he was really angry, like he was going to step to him. And Dean White was furious about it today. And you've got all this rage for so many black people like Mark Breland and Kenny Bayless. You got all this rage for so many black people. Wouldn't give Dylan a fight after he was number one contender for so many years. And then when you had your opportunity to confront Tyson Fury, the man you said cheated you, used his white privilege to defeat you and take your belt, you said nothing at all to him. You didn't confront him face to face. So, listen, I don't care who wins that fight. I don't care who wins it. They bring out the worst media who support both of them. People like Gareth Davis and some of the woke media who support Deontay Wilder. No boxing knowledge or analysis at all. It's just pure nonsense. Well, they've both been pros from when? 2008? And Fury's never defended a belt, and Wilder's never fought in a unification fight. But yet, you're walking around like you're up there with history's best heavyweights. And that shit just annoys me. It just annoys me to no end. And no, I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't bother me, because that's not who I am. I say what's on my mind. I'm not worried about you talking about, "Oh, Beats is triggered," or he's got egg on his face. I'm not worried about that stupidness there. Fighters fight very infrequently these days. In what was it, 6 years, Tyson Fury has fought Klitschko once, Deontay Wilder twice. And that's the extent of his resume. But he's got Bob Arum and other idiots who want to put Muhammad Ali in the same sentence as him. And, you know, same with Wilder as well. And Malik saying what he said with Ali. Can't really take it seriously, can you? I mean, I tell you what, Malik better get his contingency plans ready. Because if this all falls flat, they're going to want a scapegoat. And when it's Wilder, it's normally a black guy who's the scapegoat. So whatever happened to Mark Breland, he better watch out that it doesn't happen to him too. I don't know if anyone remembers me saying that if we don't get the undisputed fight, I could be walking away from YouTube. So don't be surprised that there's less videos in the last few weeks and onwards. Anyone who thinks that the undisputed heavyweight title fight not taking place is a good thing, I'm not spending time around them. I don't want to hear their voices. I don't want to hear what they got to say. I don't want to hear nothing. And Wilder not engaging Tyson Fury, leaving the very passive and meek Malik Scott to deal with Tyson Fury, only for the revelations that Tyson busted Malik's eardrum in sparring, as well as Wilder's in a fight. And then he's saying, well, it's okay to get your ear busted, Tyson. You're 260 pounds. I'm sparring Tyson Fury like he's in awe of the guy. Which is, you know, him being honest and it's factual. But I don't see the assertiveness about Malik Scott. Does Malik Scott have his own gym? You see, boxing trainers have their own gyms. Does Malik Scott have his own gym? No, Wilder's got a facility in his back garden. To me, the boxer doesn't ring up the coach at 11 a.m. when he rocks up out of bed to say, let's go training. It's supposed to be the other way around. The coach is supposed to let you know that at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., I want you at the gym. We're going to do these drills, and then you make your way to the gym. It's supposed to be a regime. Then Malik said, well, Wilder's got raw power, but I'm all about technical this. And maybe Malik can transfer some technical skills to Wilder's boxing, but I don't see Malik as a technical fighter. I saw Malik as a spoiler. Malik was a spoiler. He wasn't exactly technically sound at elite level. Malik was a spoiler. If he's planning to help Wilder survive and make it into an ugly fight where Fury don't look good, does that get Wilder the W necessarily? Malik, you know, there's just so much stuff that I remember about Malik as a boxer. And it shouldn't result in me trying to cross that over into what he is as a coach, but I can't erase it from my memory. I remember my post-fight video when he lost his unbeaten record to Derek Chisora, and I predicted Derek to beat him as well. He got knocked down, and there was a controversy about the length of the count. But Malik just walked over to his other corner when the referee stopped it. He didn't protest. He didn't ask, yo, what time did I get up? Or he didn't ask anything. He just accepted it and just walked back to his corner. This guy cannot make a single-minded, set in his way Deontay Wilder do anything. If I'm sure about anything about boxing, I'm sure about that. Wilder's basically training himself now.
What I'm going to do to Deontay Wilder this time is I'm going to run him over because I'm an 18-wheeler. He's a human being. And I guarantee him he does not go past where he did before. Because before I only got 5 6 weeks of practicing what I was going to do to him. This time was like 18 months of practicing what I was going to do to him. So I anticipate it's going to be like any team wheeler running over somebody.
He said he's had 18 months to prepare for Deontay Wilder. So all that talk about having a warm-up fight last year, that was all gas. And so was all talk of fighting Anthony Joshua. The only person he's been concentrating on is Wilder. They've been stalling for time, both parties, for when they could put the fight on and get crowds and hype up the event more. I hope Wilder wasn't trying to be intimidating by staying mute in the press conference, because it was nothing like intimidating at all. I remember Tyson Fury not talking at a press conference, but not because he was trying some intimidation tactic on Derek Chisora. It's because he got fined 15 grand at the previous press conference where he was smack talking a whole load of crap about Derek. And he had BBBC sellotaped across his mouth and didn't say a word in the press conference. Remember when AJ made the comment that he was going to help Tyson Fury spar for the third Wilder fight? And Wilder took it really serious. Oh, so all the Brits is ganging up on me. See, if that was the other way around, I think Joshua may have said something, but he wouldn't have got emotional about it. And Sugar Hill and Tyson think they're onto something with Wilder. So bringing up what I think was an exaggeration that, since I've been training with Tyson Fury, since I've been tracing, one thing I'm glad about that's happened with Tyson Fury since I've been training him, he's developed one punch knockout power. He can knock out a man with one punch. Now, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure about that. But even though Wilder had the headphones on, I'm sure it got back to him what Sugar Hill said. And with Wilder's psyche, you can try things like that at Wilder, and it could probably get to him because there's a lot of stuff he just doesn't get. There's a lot of stuff he just doesn't get. Like Buddy McGirt was saying, Wilder needs to lay off with his head, I'm gonna catch a body, because it burns up energy. It burns up a lot of energy. And then the guy talking to Buddy, a lot of these media people have no idea about boxing. Philosophically, historically, cinematically, or nothing. Oh yeah, but Mike Tyson was very intense. You see, there's no boxing study done by these journalists, and they're always having to be put right by these trainers and these old school boxers. Buddy said, no, Mike Tyson got animated when he was trying to finish you, but Mike Tyson was calm. That's where the explosion comes from. It's from the calmness. Like, there's a common belief, Sonny Liston was a brute. No, Sonny was calm. Mike Tyson was an original. So when he was talking about driving your nose into your brain, no one was doing that before him. He was an original. Wilder's trying to follow what he's seen other African Americans do, like a Tyson, a Tony. But we'll see how it plays out in the ring, isn't it? He's just got to land one, I guess, on Tyson's chin. But barring that, the fight goes the same way either the first fight went or the last fight went. More than likely it goes similar to the way the last fight went.